السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. How are you today? إن شاء الله بخير كلكم. Where are the people? Just Afnan and Futan. Nobody else? Just both of you, two of you, nobody else? We used to have more students. Where are they? Even last time, only 2 students. Anyway, maybe عندهم ظروف معينة. Let's start today our last lecture. We still have certain part in chapter 9 I want to finish, which is formal rules and rule writing. We talked about the levels of sound representation, and we said how the phonological rules map between the 2 levels or help us convert the phonemic form into the phonetic form of the word. And we also talked about the types of phonological rules. We talked about the major ones: assimilation, dissimilation, insertion, deletion, and then we talked about each one separately, and we looked at the subtypes, and we gave examples from English and other languages. While explaining, we talked about rule writing, and we said to represent the phonological processes and to know how they work, usually we use phonological rules. These phonological rules, their function is to express in the form of a statement or in the linguistic notation the changes, that take place while producing certain sounds, and this is determined by the phonetic environment, meaning the position in which the sound occurs. So the phonological rules can be expressed in the form of a statement or in linguistic notation, as I told you, or in linguistic formula. As you can see here, A becomes B because it occurs between X and Y. Remember the examples when we said the na alveolar becomes ing velar because it is followed by a velar sound, which is either ka or ga. And also we talked about the voicing, devoicing rules, aspiration, vowel nasalization, vowel lengthening. Any rule, any phonological rule consists of phonological segments that undergo some change, which involves some change in their feature. So always we have the change in their features, either the voicing feature, and here we have a change from voice to voiceless, or vice versa, from voiceless to voiced. In the place of articulation, either an alveolar sound becomes palatal, or becomes bilabial, or becomes dental, because the following sound is so and so and so, either also bilabial, or velar, or dental, or it occurs between 2 vowels in intervocalic position, and also it could be a change in the manner of articulation. Look at some examples here. Look at this. The first statement, the first rule is given in a statement form. Vowels are lengthened before voiced consonants. Vowels are lengthened before voiced consonants. Now here, this is a phonological rule of voicing of vowels. We call it vowel lengthening. As a process, it is known as vowel lengthening. The rule states vowels are lengthened before voiced consonant. I can express the same statement, but in linguistic formula like here. The va stands for vowel, so it should be capitalized, becomes lengthened, that's why here I'm using the diacritic, the 2 dots, it's like the colon, and then here we state the environment, we put this sloping dash, and sloping slant, and then this long dash followed by C stands for consonants. Again, it should be capital. And then underneath here we put the feature between square brackets, and we use the pluses and the minuses. Plus voice. Or you can just, without the plus, you can write voiced, V-O-I-C-E-D. Look at the following rule. Here the alveolar na becomes a velar ing when followed by a velar consonant. You remember the examples, finger and ink and ankab in Arabic. So here we have the rule stated in linguistic notation. The sound before the change, na, between slants, and underneath we have the feature, alveolar. And then the arrow, which stands for becomes or changes into. Ing, velar. The environment now, we state the environment. We put the slant, and then the long dash followed by the segments, the ka and the ga. And underneath we put the feature. So alveolar become velar because it is followed by a velar sound. So this is the way we write the rules formally. What are the devices that we use for writing the phonological rules? Here they are. Na, here the segment, first we put the sound segment in its phonemic or underlying form. So we put the segment in its phonological or the underlying form between two slants, because here we have it as a phoneme, and then after the change we have it as a variant or an allophone. Then between square brackets we put the segment in its phonetic level or in the surface level. Between these we use the arrow, which stands for becomes or changes into. The sound na becomes ing or it changes into ing. And then we state the phonetic environment by using this slant followed by a dash. This dash is the place where the sound actually that undergoes the change occurs here. And either it's going to be influenced by a following sound or a preceding sound. If it is preceding, then we put the sound that has influenced or caused the change before. If it is after, then we put it after this long dash. Look at this mark also. We call it the word boundary. The word boundary. Here we have two lines crossing each other. Crossing another two lines. We call it word boundary. This is used whenever we have a sound occurring initially or finally. So if the sound occurs in initial position, then we start with this mark, the word boundary, and we place it before the dash. In the final position, then we place it after the dash. Also here we need to use the diacritics. What are these diacritics? You took them in phonetics. There is a whole page in Roger's book. If you go back to that book and study that section. The diacritics are actually superscripts and subscripts, small symbols that are used to show more features about the sounds when they occur in a particular position. For example, the small h, we use it for aspiration. The small circle underneath, we use it to show that the sound has been devoiced. We have the tilde for vowel nasalization and for velarization also. We have for the unreleased sound, we use this mark, the following one. If we have co-articulation, we use the one, we use the ya and other symbols. One for dentality and one for lengthening and one for nasalizing the sound, and we have many others. So these are the devices we are going to use for writing the rules. We'll try to do some practice now. Look at the words letter and wedding. Letter and wedding. Here we have these two words. When they are produced in the American, according to the American English, or the American accent, we say letter or weather. The ta is not reduced as an alveolar ta, and the da is not reduced as an alveolar da. But what we actually produce a flap. So ta alveolar, ta between two slants, and then we have the arrow changes into a flap. This is a symbol enclosed between two brackets. Underneath we put the features of each. Ta alveolar flap becomes a flap where in what environment? Between two vowels or in an intervocalic position. So we place the V before and after this long dash. So and the name of the process here is flapping. So be careful. When I ask about the name of the process, I expect you to tell me aspiration, vowel, flapping, vowel nasalization, vowel lengthening, palatalization, etc. So here the rule states that ta alveolar becomes a flap whenever it occurs in an intervocalic position, in other words, between two vowels. Pot and spot. Pot and spot. Here we have the pa in pot is actually aspirated, whereas in spot is not aspirated. The pa at the underlying level is not aspirated, then it becomes aspirated at the phonetic level. In what environment? When it occurs initially, followed by a stressed vowel. Followed by a stressed vowel. So that's why here we put the word boundary before the dash, the long dash or the long line here, and then followed by V, which stands for vowel, and this on the right, on the left hand here, there is a short line. This stands for the stress. So the rule says the unaspirated pa becomes aspirated initially before a stressed vowel. And this is given here in formula. Teacher and keeper. So according to the American pronunciation, the ra is produced. According to the British pronunciation, usually the ra is deleted. We say teacher, keeper, worker, without producing they don't produce the ra sound in a final position. So how am I going to state this in a linguistic formula? We put the ra at the underlying level between two slants, and then the arrow, we say it becomes a 0, meaning it's deleted. So the ra is deleted, or it becomes a 0, it's deleted, eliminated. In what position? When it occurs in a final position. So we put the long line here for the environment, followed by the word boundary, because nothing is following the ra. It occurs in a final position. And this process is called deletion. This process is called deletion. Is Jama'a clear? Is it clear? You find this section in your main textbook, I think chapter 9 or chapter 8, I don't remember. I think chapter 9. Anyway, when you study, please do a lot of practice for writing the rule this way, because part of your exam is going to be something like this. while writing the rules, the phonologic rules, stating them in linguistic formula or even in a form of a statement, we try to capture a generalization. And sometimes instead of writing 2 or 3 rules, we can write them in one rule. We can reduce them or put them together just in one rule to capture a generalization. Okay, so here we have the word bank, and the word anger. Here we have in bank, the na becomes ing, and dealer becoming dealer because it is followed by the ka, which is dealer. In anger, I can write here another rule, which is number 2. The na alveolar becomes ing velar because it is followed by the sound ga, velar. Instead of writing 2 separate rules, one for the first word and one for the second, because this is followed by ka and this is followed by ga, and we have the same features, we can reduce them and write just one rule, which is here you have it at the bottom. We have the na alveolar becomes ing velar when it is followed by a consonant, that is velar. If you put C for consonant and then you put the feature velar underneath, so it means the consonant that is velar. We have only the sound ka and the sound ga are velar. We don't have any other sounds that determine the change. So here the na alveolar becomes ing velar when it is followed by any consonant having the feature velar. So here we capture a generalization. So instead of writing 2 rules, we are going to write 1 rule. So usually scientists and linguists look for 2 things, generalization and economy. Economy يقتصد في الشيء, and generalization تعميم للشيء. So C stands for both ka and ga instead of writing 2 separate rules, or instead of writing the 2 sounds ka and ga next to each other. So we just write C and the feature to show me that these 2 sounds only. They exclude other sounds. So like, تعرف الشامبو والحاجات نقول 2 in 1, Leopard plus 2 in 1, يعني داخل فيه حاجتين هو in one thing. So again here, instead of writing number 1, rule number 1, and rule number 2, we can write just 1 rule that stands for all. Look at these words, and we have also the rules stated in linguistic formula. Pot and spot, we have the pa aspirated becomes ka aspirated in initial position followed by a stressed vowel. We have tick and stick. The ta aspirated becomes aspirated again in the same environment. Kit and skip. The ka becomes aspirated. The ka becomes aspirated in the same environment. So I want you to reduce these 3 rules into 1 rule to make a generalization. Yalla, you have 3 rules, make them 1. Try to do it. يلا اثنان نفوت ما في غيركم. So instead of 3, these 3 rules give me 1 rule only. يلا اثنان نفوت, please participate. reduce these three rules in one. Try to do it. No, it's not. It's not confusing. Try to do the same like the previous ones. Like here, the one at the bottom. You have three rules, similar case, similar environment. So do your best to make it one. And this is very easy. Look at the three sounds at the beginning, at the underlying level, and the three sounds after the change. Try to see what they have in common, the features they have in common. Type. Here is the answer. Look at the slide. Here is the answer. We can make it this way. Pa, ta, ka becomes ta aspirated, and ka aspirated in the environment when they occur initially before a stressed vowel. Or we can write C, big capital letter, becomes C, and underneath we put the features. We put the features under the first C, which stands for consonant, plus voice, plus stop, minus aspirated, becomes plus voice, plus stop, plus aspirated in the same environment. We are going to put the same environment as is. Just we generalize. We write C for consonant, and then we put the features. Plus voice, plus stop. Yani only, sorry, here minus voice, it should be minus. The first one, make it minus, it's not plus. So here, minus voice plus stop and minus aspirated becomes minus, again here, for voice, this is a typing mistake, it should be minus. Minus voice plus stop plus aspirated. This means that voiceless stops, if you are not using pluses and minuses, you can write voiceless and stop. Again here, voiceless and stop. In the first one, we have minus aspirated or unaspirated if you want, and aspirated if you don't want to use the pluses and the minuses. So here we capture a generalization. Instead of writing three rules, we are going to write one rule only. Again here, minus nasal becomes plus nasal when followed by a nasal. Instead of writing all the nasals, the ma and the na, we can write C, and the underneath we put plus nasal. We can say it in another way using the distinctive feature system. Here we use minus nasal, minus syllabic becomes plus nasal, minus syllabic when it is followed by plus nasal, plus consonant. Again, meaning that the vowel is nasalized when it is followed by a nasal consonant. Here we have a very short exercise. I'm giving you part of the rule, and you give me the rest. Complete these rules. Complete these rules. E becomes E with these two dots. You know what it indicates. I'm not going to explain again. In what environment? You have to give me the environment. Again, the same for U, followed by two dots, the colon, becomes U in what environment? Yalla, try to state the environment of the first one and the second one. Yalla, give me the environment, the E. The E is lengthened here when it is followed by a consonant that is plus voice. When it is followed by a consonant that is plus voice. And in the second, the O lengthened is shortened because it is followed by a consonant that is minus voice. Now we move to chapter 10. We are not going to cover the whole chapter, just part of it. This chapter is called the phonological structure. We'll learn here about the suprasegmental structure. The syllable focuses mainly on the syllable and its internal structure. And if we have time, we are going to look at the prosodic elements, the mora and the foot. The syllable is what? The syllable is a notion known in phonetics and phonology. It plays a very important role in many phonological processes. Here the syllable is referred to as a phonological construct rather than some specific phonetic entity. The definition of a syllable is it's a sequence of sounds, a group of sounds or a sequence of sounds with a peak of sonority. And the peak of sonority is usually the vowel, which is the nucleus of the syllable or the center of the syllable. Any syllable is made up of vowels preceded or followed by consonants, or sometimes by a zero consonant without a zero. For example, here we have the V, only the vowel, which is here we have it just the indefinite article a. If we could have a vowel followed by a consonant like of, in, at. We could have a consonant followed by a vowel. We have B and C, or we have a consonant followed by a vowel and then followed by a consonant, C, B, C, like sit and cut and shut and put. Or we have the structure C, V, C, C, like build and bold and hard. Or we have CC, VC, like for example speak and black. We could also have CC, here it should be double C, CC, VCC, like slept. Or we could be, it could be two consonant cluster, then a vowel, and then three consonants, consecutive consonants like text, and so on. Maximum we can have four consonants like text in a final position, preceded by a vowel and a consonant. Now let's look at the internal structure of the syllable. Any syllable could be divided into onset and rhyme. Onset and rhyme. O stands for onset, At the top here we have this mark stands for the syllable. It's a Greek letter called sigma. We call it sigma in Greek. So this symbol stands for the syllable, and a syllable consists of onset, O, onset, bidaya, and rhyme. Ra stands for rhyme. The rhyme consists of N for nucleus and for the coda, CO. The Ra or the rhyme consists of a nucleus and a coda. The nucleus is actually the vowel. The nucleus of the syllable is the vowel, which is always followed or sometimes followed by a consonant, and this consonant is called the coda. So the consonant before the vowel is the onset, and after the vowel we call it the coda. Any syllable consists of onset and coda, and in the middle we have the nucleus. So onset, rhyme goes to nucleus and the coda. Like pick, for example, the pa is the onset, I is the nucleus, and ka is the coda consonant. If you have complex onset, like here blank, the onset here is complex because it consists of two sounds, two consonants, pa and la. And then we have the vowel. Even the coda is a complex coda consisting of two consonants, the ing and the ka. So this is the internal structure of the word blank. Blank, it has only one, it consists of one syllable. Even pick here, it consists of one syllable. The nucleus is obligatory. We must have a nucleus. We must have a vowel. You cannot find any word in English without a vowel. If we go back to the previous section, here, this slide, you notice all the vowels in the middle, they have a vowel. Even we have in the first example, the indefinite article, it's a vowel. You don't have anything in English that's just a consonant. It should be a vowel, even if it is alone or followed or preceded by a consonant. The nucleus then is obligatory. It must be there, part of the syllable, whereas the onset, coda, and the coda are optional, because we have examples like at, we don't have an onset, but we have a coda. B and C and so, here we have an onset, but we don't have a coda. In some languages, the onset is obligatory. Like, for example, in Arabic, the onset is obligatory. The nucleus is not always a vowel. The nucleus is not always the vowel, but it could be a syllabic. Some of these consonants, like the liquids and the nasals, could be syllabic nuclei. Like, for example, here, button. Look at the transcription in the first line. Here, button. We have a consonant, vowel, consonant, vowel, consonant. And the same for buckle. We have the consonant pa followed by a vowel, ta, consonant, and then vowel, and then consonant. These two words, buckle and button, we can reduce them as button and buckle. Button and buckle. Here we have, if you notice the transcription, you can see only one vowel in the first one and one vowel in the second. But look at the last sound, which is the na here, the nasal, and the liquid la. They have this short line underneath to show that they are syllabic. They carry a syllable, or they constitute a syllable by themselves. So in the first one we say it consists of two syllables, and again in the second transcription we say that it contains two syllables. The first one with the vowel, and the second one is carried by the syllabic consonant na and la. The notion of sonority governs the nature of the syllabic nucleus and the order of segments within the syllable as a whole. So the notion of sonority means a loud sound, It governs the nature of the syllabic nucleus and even the order of the segments. So loudness and voicing are related to sonority. The more sonorant a sound, the louder and more sustainable and more open the sound is. Voice sounds, for example, are more sonorant than voiceless ones. Or we can say that voiceless sounds are less sonorant than voice sounds. يعني فيهم نبرة عالية أكثر, loudness more. So we say they are more sonorant or less sonorant. Speech sounds can be arranged on a scale of relative sonority. Speech sounds can be arranged on a relative sonority. This scale is known sonority hierarchy scale. Sonority hierarchy scale. هي تدرج loudness. تدرج sonority of the sound. So we'll start from the least sonorant and we go upward to the most sonorant or vice versa. The least sonorant, voiceless stops. They're not that loud as the voice stops. And then we have the voice stops are not as loud or sonorant as the voiceless fricatives. And then we have the voice fricatives, nasals, liquids, glides, high vowels and low vowels. Those are, the final ones are more sonorant than the previous ones. Or we can go from bottom to top. We look at the sounds that are more sonorant, the vowels, and then the glides, and then liquids, and then nasals. Then we go up. The more you go up here, you are going to the least sonorant. The voice fricative, voiceless ones, voice stops, and voiceless stops. So this is a scale to show the sonority hierarchy from the least sonorant to the most sonorant or vice versa. Now, how we do a phonological analysis. What is the procedure that we follow in doing a phonological analysis, or how can we solve a phonological problem? This section is going to be in language files. So please try to get language files from خوارزم اللي بالجامعة واللي خارج الجامعة. You won't find it in any other book shop. Or if you want, you can order from the Amazon the whole book itself, language files, and keep it with you for phonology, for morphology, for syntax, semantics. It's a very good one. Now let's see how we do the phonological analysis. Look at this data from English. Here we have pay and fresh, shriek, crap, gray, regain, tar, and tar. If you look at the rah sound in the first group and the second group. In the first group, look at the transcription. Always we have this small circle under the rah to show that here we have the rah voiceless. It's a voiceless sound. Whereas in the second column, we don't have this small circle to show that this rah is a voice rah. Now, here we have two sounds, the rah voice and the rah voiceless. Are these allophones or phonemes? Are they allophones or phonemes? We have to find out. If they are phonemes, we consider them phonemes, then we have to look for minimal pairs. We have to look for minimal pairs here. Actually, if you check, we don't have any minimal pairs to show that these two sounds might signal a difference in meaning. So they are not phonemes, they are allophones. Are they allophones of the same phoneme or separate phonemes? We have to decide. They are allophones of the same phoneme. The rah at the phonological level or the underlying level has two allophones, the rah voice and the rah voiceless. But each one of them occurs in a certain environment. So you have to check the data, look at the words, look at their meanings. If you have them transcribed, check the transcription. Try to check the environment in the first place. You have to check the environment to find natural classes. And check the environment of the rah voice and the rah voiceless. Where does this occur and where does this occur? So when we find it here, then we have to look for complementary gaps in the environment. Then we state a generalization about the distribution of each sound, and then we determine the identity of the phoneme and its allophone. For example, here, we check the environments to find natural classes. How do you check the environment? You have to do it this way. Look at the sounds, the two sounds in the middle, and here we put the environment. We check the sound ra, and we can see here that it is preceded by ga followed by e, and then by a vowel, and look at it finally, preceded by ba and followed by o initially, and followed by e. Whereas the ra voiceless is preceded by the pa and the ka and the fa and the sha, and followed by vowels. So if it has to do with voicing, we forget about the vowels. Here we check the preceding sound. The preceding sound. If you check the pa, ka, fa, sha, you find that they form a natural class because they share the feature voiceless. All of them are voiceless. Whereas the position of the ra, it has more than one position, initially, finally, preceded by ga, voiced, consonants, and so on. So more than one environment. But here we have always after voiceless consonants. Always after this voiceless consonants. So after that, we state a generalization about the distribution of each sound. So we say here that the ra voiceless appears after voiceless consonant, whereas the ra voice appears elsewhere, either initially or finally, or after voiced consonants or vowels. Then we state the distribution. We state the distribution. Are the two sounds in overlapping or contrasting distribution, or they are in complementary distribution? We have to state this. The ra and the ra voiceless are in complementary distribution. Each one of them occur in a certain environment, and the ra voiceless always occurring after voiceless consonants. So they have different environments. We say that they are, the ra and the ra voiceless are allophones of the same phoneme. They are variants, and they are non-distinctive. They are in complementary distribution because they occur in different environments. So one appears after voiceless consonant, and then the other ra voice appears elsewhere, either initially or finally, or preceded by a voiced consonant or by a vowel. Number 4, we have to determine the identity of the phoneme and its allophone. We have to choose the basic sound and the derived sound. You ask yourself, what is the basic sound and what is the derived sound? And which one of them is being derived from the other? Is it the ra voice or the ra voiceless? So we say here that the ra voice is the base, or it's the basic sound, and then the ra voiceless is derived depending on the environment, which is the preceding sound that has the feature minus voice. Then we have to identify the phonological process, to name it. We have to give it a name, and then write a rule as well. So we say that the process here is de-voicing. The ra becomes ra voiceless, de-voicing. The rule is going to be stated like here, the following. We have the ra voice becomes ra voiceless when it is preceded by C for consonants, that is minus voice. So any consonant having the feature minus voice. Look here at books, rats, roofs, bags, ropes, pulls, and doves. Here, I want you to give me the alternations of the past tense form, the plural morpheme, sorry. The plural morpheme. Again, we talked about this before. So So we said here we have the sa and the sa and the is. Futun, are you following or بس كده حاطة الجهاز ومشيتي؟ فاتحة الجهاز ومشيتي? Because Afnan, I think she left. We have no students للأسف today. مع إنه this is very important. Anyway, they can listen to it. Maybe they have their own circumstances. So you have to give here the alternations of the plural morpheme. Are they phonetically or morphologically conditioned? You have to state that they are phonetically and morphologically conditioned, and you have to give me the environment. Look at this data from Cindy. Here we have the most of the data here in these slides are found in the language files. They are there, and you don't have to worry. You find them in language files. So try to do some practice. Check the data here. We have Pinu meaning leaf, Viju meaning opportunity, Sheki, special, Gedo, Dal, Pinu with aspiration, hood of snake, pet show, and we have in the second column also a number of words. You can have a look at them. I'll give you a few minutes to have a look at these. You have to examine the distribution of the sound pa and pa aspirated and pa voice. Then you have to determine if these sounds are allophones of the same phoneme, and you have to give me an evidence. When I say give me an evidence, you have to look for minimal pairs. Just for these three sounds. In the data here you find other minimal pairs, but for other sounds, not for the pa and the pa aspirated and the pa voiced. Are these three sounds allophones of the same phoneme or different phonemes? They are allophones or phonemes. They are different, but are they allophones or phonemes? Check the data. For example, look at number 5 and number 11. Number 5 and number 11. They are allophones, yes, of the same phoneme, sorry, not allophones, they are allophones of the same phoneme or separate phonemes. Separate phonemes, because here we have minimal pair, Pinu, hood of snake, and Binu, forest. If you compare them with number 1, look at number 1 and number 5 and number 11. They constitute here a set of minimal pairs. The pa, by merely replacing it by an aspirated one, you are producing a new word. So it's here, we say it's a phoneme. And again here, by replacing them with pa, the voiced one, you know it means forest, you are producing a new word. So here we say that the pa, aspirated, unaspirated, and the ba voiced in Sindhi are considered phonemes. So, and this is different from English. Is the relationship among these sounds the same as in English? Why and why not? So, and of course, it's not the same. In English, the aspirated and unaspirated ba are considered allophones, and they don't signal a difference in meaning. Whereas in Hindi, these two sounds, the ba aspirated and unaspirated and the ba voice, are considered phonemes, and if you say pel and pel, you are producing two different words by merely producing more puff of air while producing the sound. Here, an exercise, identify and write a phonological rule or rules. Like for example, here we have finger, the change from finger to finger, we have a n becoming n. What type of process? You have to write also a rule. So try to write rules like the one I taught you how to use the slants and the arrows and the square brackets and so on. The same for mistake, which is a word in Korean, silsu, it's produced as shilsu. Look at the change, try to find the change and write a rule and also give me the name of the process. Dream after in the underlying form and in the surface form. Look at the changes and again write a rule and give me the name of the process. And the same goes for swing. Try to read these rules. They are in linguistic notation. Sometimes I give you the question like this and you give it to me in a form of a statement, like here, voiceless stops are aspirated word initially. I can give it to you in a formula and expect you to give me the answer in words. For example, here, voiceless stops are aspirated word initially. This is the opposite. In the previous one, I give you the segments, the rule with the segments with everything, and I want you to just write it in words. Or vice versa. Sometimes I give you the rule in words and you give me the rule in linguistic notation. So these are examples of the questions that are going to be part of your final exam concerning the analysis of data, writing the rules, specifying the rules, in addition to some other command questions that are mainly true or false, fill in the blanks, and multiple choice. In addition to data analysis rule, I give you data from any language and then I ask you some questions that are related. This is the end of the course. We covered everything. So please try to get language files and study from it and try to analyze the data in that book. It's various from different languages, Hindi, French, Persian, Arabic, French, German, Spanish. You have so many data. So read the questions carefully and try to analyze. Any questions? If you have any questions, you can come to my office anytime, Building 8, room so building number 8, room 850. Do you have any question, Futul? You are the only student I have today. Okay. Okay, thank you. Here I'm going to stop. We finished the course. Try to go over the exercises in both books. Try to do them. Your exam is going to be a collection of various types of questions. As I told you, true or false, fill in the blanks, multiple choice, some short questions requiring short answers, and the data analysis, writing rules in the form of a statement or in linguistic notation or formula. Okay, that's all for today, and alhamdulillah, we finished. I hope you benefited from the slides and from me. If you have any questions, I am ready anytime. Come to my office. Okay? Yalla, good luck. Wallah ma'akum. Do your best. Inshallah, it's going to be easy. Don't worry. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.